And then item 61 is the $39 million Priority 5 non-cash line of credit request that was submitted by the Division of Administration for the July Bond Commission meeting, but was deferred in July and August. We did send a letter. It was dated August 25th to New Orleans leaders. We sent you a copy of that to request their presence at this meeting. And also in your packet are 2 comments received relative to the previous action on the item.
All right, we have a question. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, this is Angelique Friel here on behalf of Attorney General Jeff Landry, and he's not able to be here, but would like to make a comment at this time with regard to item number 61. As you know, leaders for the City of New Orleans have publicly stated that they will not enforce Louisiana laws prohibiting abortion. For the past 2 months, the Bond Commission has voted to defer the $39 million Priority 5 non-cash line of credit for the Sewage and Water Board project. It's my understanding that this line of credit should continue to be deferred until these officials, particularly the City Council, affirm that they will enforce the laws of our state. It's my opinion. As Attorney General, I have repeatedly fought for the health and safety of women and children. Now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned, Louisiana's laws recognizing the dignity and value of unborn lives will be given force and effect. The City of New Orleans mistakenly believes that they may opt out of the validly enacted state law. Let me be clear. They have neither the constitutional nor the statutory authority to do so. I remind you that every legislative member of the Bond Commission voted in favor of Act 545 of the 2022 legislative session, and it was signed by the governor. The officials in New Orleans have essentially said they do not care about our colleagues' laws. This issue, however, is much more fundamental than Louisiana's abortion ban. Each and every elected official takes an oath to uphold the Constitution and laws of our state. These New Orleans officials have taken it upon themselves to pick and choose which laws they are going to enforce in direct contradiction to their oath. What's next? Can leaders of other municipalities now simply refuse to enforce any state statute they personally disagree with? The precedent set by allowing New Orleans to blatantly ignore laws will be shameful. Lastly, I must dispel the notion that the City of New Orleans will suffer catastrophic flooding because of the denial of this Priority 5 non-cash line of credit. As you're all well aware, Priority 5 projects do not receive cash funding in that given fiscal year. Thus, regardless of how the Bond Commission votes, the Sewage and Water Board project would not receive any direct funding from the state this fiscal year. Moreover, the project would not necessarily be delayed because the legislature is free to fund this project next fiscal year, even if the Bond Commission were to deny it a Priority 5 non-cash line of credit this year. The argument that the failure to approve this line of credit will continue to a greater chance of flooding in New Orleans is simply disingenuous. As I stated at last month's meeting, the City of New Orleans must be held accountable for blatantly refusing to enforce validly enacted laws by the people of Louisiana through their representatives. As I continue to defend our laws, I ask that you join me in ensuring that the municipalities of our state enforce all our laws. We did provide a copy of this letter to staff, and we're asking that it be made part of the record.
All right, thank you. Any comments? Okay. So, hold on. So I think it is. Lieutenant Governor?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. At 2 previous meetings, my representative voted in favor of stopping this moving forward. And I'm here today to say that while I don't agree with the mayor or the city council's position, this bond commission to hold up flood protection in any state or form or use this commission as a political maneuver is not our position. It shouldn't be our position, I feel. And in any flood protection projects anywhere in this state and what we're dealing with should not be held up for any reason. So I'm here today to change the 2 previous votes by my representative that I didn't know or was not informed was going forward and support moving this forward. Thank you.
Marty's here. Hold on. Ms. Friel?
This isn't political. This is the job to uphold the laws of the state. Every elected official takes an oath to uphold the laws. This is not a situation where this particular project is going to be funded this fiscal year. If they want to see it funded a different way, they can go to the legislature, they can get it funded. It will not be funded this fiscal year. This is a situation where we have a municipality that is just choosing not to abide by our laws. And we have seen what that's done in New Orleans. We've seen what's happened when they have failed to enforce criminal laws. It's not been good for the state. It's now the murder capital of the country. And so if they want to go and get the laws changed or do anything, the appropriate place is through the legislature. This is a priority 5 line of credit that will not be funded this fiscal year. It is not going to harm hurricane protection. But what it is going to do is it's going to send a message that we expect all municipalities to abide by the laws that are passed by this body, the legislature.
Alrighty. Yes.
Just the sitting for this meeting is so awkward. I apologize. Some of you are behind me, and I do apologize for that. But it's just how I'm seated.
All right. Commissioner Darden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just 2 points to keep the record straight. The projects would be delayed if this is not approved by the bond commission. That certainly could impact flood protection in the long term, and equally importantly, if this project isn't going to move forward, it could impact the ability to move forward with our priority 2 projects, which I know everybody's anxious to get to, and we will get to in next month's meeting.
Thank you, sir. Speaker Scheck-Schneider.
Yeah, I'm not an attorney, so I'm trying to figure it out. So when we make this vote, but what laws were broken in the city of New Orleans that we should hold us up?
Hold on. I don't know how to override here.
Hit add.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Well, essentially what we have is a city that has said that there'll be a sanctuary city for people that want to go and have abortions. We have 3 different statutes that were trigger laws that were passed by the legislature to go into effect that were contemplated for years on end, that it was necessary to have these laws if the United States Supreme Court ever were to decide differently with regard to Roe v. Wade and say that the issue of abortion is a matter for the state to decide. So we have a district attorney down there that is saying that they will not prosecute. We have sheriffs that have said that they will not put people who break the law in jails, in their prisons. We have city councils that have, and the mayor that have passed resolutions essentially saying they will not enforce the laws of Louisiana. And so if there's no consequence for this, and their policies on crime, and 2 of those statutes are criminal or failing the state across the board. We have a major problem in New Orleans with regard to crime. We have asked respectfully for them to come and appear before this commission. They don't care. They have not even showed up to offer a position as to why they are making that stance. They completely are disrespecting the laws of the state and the people here in this room. And it's not political. It's crystal clear. It's a law that they are blatantly disregarding. Said they're disregarding.
Ms. Creel.
Friel.
The city, I'm sorry?
It's Friel. It's not
I'm
Creel.
sorry. I apologize.
It's okay.
You can smile. It was an accident.
I'm
Not to be
I'm
so
not-
serious. You don't have to
This
be so
is
serious.
how I look. I'm sorry.
We'll get serious in a minute. The city of New Orleans is here.
Okay, great.
If if they want to come up, they can. They have the opportunity to do there is a representative from the city here in support. But I'll let you answer and
Yeah.
the speaker.
I'm still. I get a lot of, I didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn last night, but I'm still not hearing what law they broke. I hear a lot of hearsay that they will not enforce or will not do those things, but did they actually break the law? Because there's a lot of people out there that say, I'm going to go rob a bank, but they don't go rob the bank. We can't hold them for that.
It's their job to enforce the law.
Right.
They're saying they're not going to enforce the law.
Who broke the law that they need to go enforce it is what I'm getting at.
I don't know. The people that decide that are saying that they're not going to do it. They've passed a resolution indicating that they will not enforce the law. They don't want to waste their resources on it.
But do we know if they've broken the law, the people that they should be prosecuting or whoever they should arrest? I guess that's what I'm getting at. I'm not objecting or anything to you. I'm just trying to figure out what are we holding New Orleans accountable for other than them passing a resolution saying that they're not going to do something that hasn't been done.
I think that it probably has been done. In fact, after the laws went into effect, there were abortion providers that continued to operate while the case was being litigated. It still is in litigation. And they've done so under the guise that somehow the doctors are going to be protected because we have a DA that doesn't want to prosecute them. That does not prevent those medical doctors from losing their license from the medical board. And so, in fact, the law was broken, and they did not respect the laws of Louisiana. If this a law that is so important that a constitutional amendment voted on by the people of Louisiana in the not too distant past to recognize that there's not a constitutional right to abortion, if we're not going to make a municipality follow the law, then where does that end? Right now it's abortion, but it could be something else. And like I said, this is to send a message. There needs to be something done. The laws of Louisiana need to be upheld by all municipalities because there is a physical cost when policies fail. And at the end of the day, the policies are supposed to be made by the legislature, and they were. And so we do not think that this line of credit should go forward at this time. We think there should be a deferral, just like there was previously. And if the legislature feels strongly about it, next year when they do their budget bill, they can put it in the preamble. They can make sure that it gets funded. This is not going to interfere with the ability of Orleans to get flood protection. They're not going to be funded this fiscal year for this.
Okay.
My Cajun's not working today.
No. Let's be clear. My committee, if we don't do a non-cash line of credit, we do not have the ability to fund them in P1 the following year, which means they will not receive money this year or the following year while they need the flood protection. So unless I get, this does not guarantee that they get the money. This only guarantees that both the committees, both the Rev and Fist Committee and the Ways and Means Committee, can take it under consideration and take testimony like next year about why this needs to be funded or not. But without a non-cash line of credit, I'm sorry to say the Attorney General's wrong on that, but without a non-cash line of credit, I can't consider it to be funded the following year, which makes a 2-year delay at best, and I won't be here anymore. That being said, we need to quit messing around with this and go ahead and approve it, because if we don't, we have a lot of projects in P2 that probably won't be gotten to if we don't do this. It's time to get this out the way. The legislature worked very hard in House Bill 2 to come up with what its priorities were, and to hold up $120 million worth of P2 projects because we're not approving this is ridiculous. There's projects from all around the state that are going to be held up and won't be funded if we don't get to the P2s. It's time to get this done. Is somebody from the state? I mean, from the city?
Yeah, there is, and she's been patiently waiting. And ma'am, just go ahead and introduce yourself, please, and welcome to Bond Commission.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Denisha Turner, and I'm the city attorney for the city of New Orleans. I'm here representing the mayor and the city council, so if any of you have any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them. But I will like to first state that no one has broken a law. The city council, the mayor, nor the police superintendent has stated that we would not enforce any laws. What they did say was that it would not be a high priority, but we have in writing that the resolution by the city council states, well, what the resolution does is it does state their position regarding this hot political issue. Everybody has an opinion regarding that. But it does state there is an exception to the extent otherwise required by state or federal law. So the city council did not direct anyone in the city of New Orleans to violate the law. What they specifically said was that it is their hope that this particular law would be a low priority. And as you know, many municipalities across the state of Louisiana chooses which laws will be priority and which laws will not be priority. So the city council, NOPD, the DA, don't know anything about what the sheriff's position is, just stated that it would be a low priority. They did not state that they would not enforce the law. I have not seen that anywhere in writing, but what I do have in writing is the resolution that says, except otherwise required by state or federal law.
All right, members, questions for Ms. Turner? Just give me a hand because I got a lot of lights blinking. Anybody have a question for the city? Mr. President, hold on one second. Gotta hit you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Senator Alla with regards to the process that we're here to talk about relative to Bond Commission. The policy that of the laws, we're gonna deal with that in the upcoming session. We've dealt with that in the past sessions. So this is not a commission to deal with policy, public policy. It's a commission to deal with whether or not the bond authorizations should move forward. That's really what we're here to talk about. So my question for the attorney from New Orleans is if we're going to talk a little bit about the policy, I think you stated the position that has been stated by the members of the council. Or are there any abortion clinics operating in New Orleans?
To my knowledge, there are no abortion clinics operating in the state of Louisiana.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
All right, members, any more comments, questions for the witness? Sorry? Hold on. Everything looks the same here, Ms. Frew. There you go.
So as you sit here today, you're representing that the city will enforce the laws relative to abortion?
Yes, that is what I've stated. There is nothing that we have written that states that we will not enforce the law. What we have said time and time again is that it will be a low priority.
So you will enforce the law?
I answered you.
Because we do have a case that's pending right now where the court's order with regard to declaring those provisions unconstitutional is suspended. I was in court Monday. Court's supposed to rule tomorrow. Plaintiffs that are representing these abortion facilities are doing their best to try to make sure they're open. New Orleans is one of the primary places, not only for people here in Louisiana, but for people outside of the state to travel to have an abortion. So I would like a commitment that the city is going to enforce the law.
I can't speak to that specific case. You would have to give me more details. I'm not sure what you are speaking of. But again, as I've stated, the resolution that the city council passed states that the enforcement, it will be a low priority. You've stated, and a lot of you like to state about the crime in the city of New Orleans. So what the city council believes and the administration believes and NOPD believes that we should put our resources towards significant violent crime. As I've stated before, and it's in the resolution, and I'm sure you all have a copy of it, we've stated that this will be a low priority.
But the city will enforce the law. And is the city looking into the use of public funds for the purchase of the $30,000 plane ticket
That's
for
not-
Cantrell?
Okay, that's not before the bond commission right now. What we are talking about is securing bonds for the city of New Orleans. The mayor's travel has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with this issue whatsoever.
Well, we're here today because there is a request to essentially incur debt. And so that is a concern. And so while you're here,
You
I'm
have
just
a
making
concern
sure
about us
of the
using
spending,
bonds
use of
money.
public money. Yes. Hopefully that will be looked at by your city.
I'm not quite sure what your question is.
Just
But-
just to keep this sort of moving along, they're not asking for a loan. This is cash that's to be given to the city.
Correct.
This is not
But
a loan.
regardless,
It's not a loan.
anytime you're here before bond commission, it's with regard to finances. And so I'm just asking, this is a very important issue, in terms of the fisc. And while I have you here, I just wanted to know whether or not you were looking into that issue.
Looking into what issue?
The issue of the travel expenses incurred by the mayor.
It's not a specific issue for us.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. So that you're not looking at it right now.
What is there to look at?
Okay, we're here today for bond commission.
Right, which has
Which-
nothing to do with the mayor's travel.
Well, I would disagree. It has to do with the policies of the city and the state fisc, the local fisc. Policies in New Orleans absolutely have an impact on the state as a whole. We heard that discussion for an hour today when it came time to discuss the Superdome. And so for purposes of today, while I have you here, I'm just asking whether or not the city is looking into it, the travel.
Looking into the mayor's travel.
Yes.
What is there to look into?
Do you think it's acceptable to spend $39,000 on a plane ticket? And if you don't know, that's fine. I don't want to delay this any further. I'm just asking.
I think you are delaying, and again, the mayor's travel has absolutely nothing to do with what we are here today discussing. As a matter of fact, I would say the mayor's travel and this issue regarding abortion is not properly before the bond commission in the first place.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah. If it was that important, the Attorney General should have been here, number one. And I apologize again for missing the last two meetings. If he truly believes they broke the law, take it up in the courts. He's good at suing. So let him take it up in the courts and not here interrupting flood protection at a time when our insurance rates are through the roof, to delay any project that isn't going to minimize flooding. These issues are not important here. File suit if he thinks the laws are broken, but that's not for this commission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, and look, here's, let's take New Orleans out of the picture right now, and let's just look at what Senator Alon spoke to earlier about projects being held up. We all come up here and we represent, each one of us in here represents our district and represent the people back home. And the last couple of years, you look at the storms we've had, the floods that we had, and if you look at this list of 4 pages that staff has gotten for us that's being held up, you're looking at people from Vermilion Parish, Caddo Parish, Lincoln Parish, Tangipahoa, Jefferson, St. John the Baptist, Rapides, Point Capee. Go on and on through this list of storm damage, flood protection projects that these constituents have nothing to do with anything going on up here, except they're wanting protection and they're wanting things done back home. And hinging all of these projects on one situation is not fair to those people who pay the taxes just like everybody else in this state. And I think it's time to just move forward.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Ms. Farrell. Oh, hold on.
I was just going to say to the Lieutenant Governor, the Attorney General has been here, but I'll say that when you look up here at this bond commission, it's all white men. And so when there is a woman here, this should be welcomed. You seem confused. You said if it wasn't important to him that he should have been here himself. He sent a designee, a woman, and his point was conveyed, and there should be welcomed and not be criticized for him sending a female here. This is the first time I've seen you here at a bond commission meeting since you've been Lieutenant Governor.
Ms. Farrell. Look, I've been pretty patient the last couple of months trying to move this along. I guess my question is this. I'm the state treasurer. I said this to the last person that was here 2 months ago. We're not lawyers. We're here dealing with finances. And I haven't seen, let me ask this first. Why this issue? If everything you said is true, and I'm not saying it's not true, why are you in support of everything else except what I call one item off the Santa Claus list? Because hold on.
Sorry.
You've had plenty of time.
I'm sorry. I thought you were asking me a question. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I have gone through this over and over and over. This is a project of $36 or $7 million out of about a $3 billion pot. Okay, so I think the senator said it earlier. There's nothing anywhere that says this money's coming. Nowhere. And I've been in this process as long, if not longer, than anybody in this room. So if you talk about in this letter, you use words like being disingenuous. Well, if you were really serious about enforcing the law, then why did you in previous months support giving New Orleans all the money that you've given them? There's millions of dollars here. We've given the Dome $1 billion in authority to borrow, but you didn't object to any of that. You're objecting to one, what in my opinion, and I try, because I use these terms so the public understands, because I'm the one that gets all the emails and the phone calls. You're right, and at least there is something very accurate in this letter, that this is not cash. This is a getting on the wish list along with another $4 billion of wish list items. So I want to know why you have not, if this is what you guys believe, that there's a violation of the law, and 2 months ago it was stated that you believe, and I say you, I mean the Attorney General, violated constitutional law. I haven't seen anything anywhere coming out of the Attorney General's office other than coming to the Bond Commission to fight over a superfluous issue because this does nothing except make a point. So I get what the Lieutenant Governor says, because it does seem political, because if it was genuine, then why do you support giving them all the money out there? And this is what I'm having trouble explaining to the public, because your narrative is, oh, we don't support what the Attorney General is doing. That's false. I don't think anybody in here doesn't support the Attorney General enforcing the laws of the state, or anybody. But let's face it, we had this pandemic thing going on for a couple of years. You're going to tell me they had municipalities not enforcing those laws?
Well, actually,
Hold on.
okay, I can't tell when you're done asking the question. I apologize.
Well, you'll know, trust me. And I don't mean that sassily. I'm trying to make some points here, because there's just inconsistencies. And what bothers me with bringing this to this body is we're not being consistent. Because during the pandemic, there were municipalities that did not follow the law and openly said that. But we did not take them up in this bond commission hearing. And I said that 2 months ago. So I'm trying to be consistent. That if we're going to do this, this really opens Pandora's box, because as the speaker said, and you have not affirmed that there was a law broken, because if there was a law broken, then there's tools that you guys can use, because y'all are the legal arm of the state, to go do something about it.
There are laws broken. Just because there was an injunction by a CDC judge in the 19 JDC that said we're going to enjoin the Attorney General from enforcement with regard to abortion laws, that does not do away with the criminal liability for a medical doctor that performs an abortion, which did occur in New Orleans.
But don't you have the ability, aren't there laws in place, whether it's the city officials, public sworn officials who don't follow the law? There's this law called malfeasance. We talked about it last time. But aren't there some things that you can do?
I'd like to address that. Is this a good time?
Yes.
So just in terms of a history lesson, in 1921, pursuant to that constitution that was passed, the Attorney General was part of the judicial branch. And in doing so, both the district attorney and the AG had original criminal jurisdiction. That did not take into consideration the conflicts that would arose, and so in 1974, the Constitution was amended to where the AG does not have original criminal jurisdiction. So there are absolutely 100% limits to what the AG can do from a criminal perspective. From a civil perspective, the AG absolutely 100% has done everything that he could do. There are cases that are being litigated. I mean, he's litigated cases all the way up to the United States Supreme Court, not creating law, not creating policy, simply enforcing the laws that were passed by the legislature and the constitutional amendment passed by the people. But look, it's...
Hold on. Nobody's questioning that.
Well, you did. You asked me what he did. So I'm...
Whether or not, as the speaker asked earlier, has somebody broken the law? You're pushing that issue. I'm not talking about the doctor or this and that. We're holding this up because of an action that the city council put in a resolution. Excuse me, gentlemen.
You don't have to hold it up. You don't have. I'm telling you. I'm here today. Everyone has a vote here. I'm here today to.
Ms. Creel.
It's Friel.
Creel, I'm sorry. Listen, I want to be very clear. I don't need a lesson on all the lawsuits. I've seen all that. I understand that. But we're here because of the issue that we're trying to, that you want to deal with in bond commission is an action taken by a resolution. Okay? Not all the doctors and all that. We can't try all of Louisiana in a bond commission. We are here because of a resolution that was filed. We're here because of that. We're having this discussion because of a resolution filed. You say that was in violation of law. I say, please go do something about it, because this is not the place to handle it. It just isn't. And I think you've heard from the members. It's time to move on. One last thing, Lieutenant Governor.
You asked me a series of questions, and you didn't let
that
me
was a
answer
comment.
them. You didn't let me answer them, and I sat here quietly through every single item. People talked for a really long time. Look, this is a commission. Everyone has a vote. The AG wanted everyone to know his position on this, but it sounds like we received a commitment today that the city is going to enforce abortion laws, and that is what we wanted. And we selected a priority 5 because it would not be detrimental to the city, but we want a commitment that they're going to do what needs to be done to enforce the law. And so I think we got that today, and we appreciate you being here. And when the time is right, we'll vote to object, but everyone else is free to vote how they would like to vote on this issue.
Ms. Feud, for the record, I just want a yes or no answer to my question. Is the Attorney General's position is there's nothing more he can do legally to take action on the city per the resolution? Again, that's the reason we're having this conversation. Is there nothing that the state of Louisiana can do through the Attorney General's office other than come here and talk about a $30 million pot out of $4 billion?
This is one avenue. This is not the only avenue. This is not the only time issues have come before bond commission. All you have to do is look at when Senator Kennedy, when John Kennedy was in your shoes. This is one avenue, and it's consistent across the board with the position the AG has taken in civil matters and criminal matters. And like I said, we have voiced his position here today.
Something he can do legally. Is there something else he can do?
He's doing everything he can legally, and he will continue to do everything he can legally.
So there's nothing else that can happen other than come in here and go through this process. Everything else is done within your power.
I'm telling you that everything he can do, he will do.
That didn't answer my question.
Well, it does. I don't. Criminal investigations are confidential. Do you really want me to disclose that here in the presence of a bond commission meeting?
I would like to know, and I bet you every member in here would like to know right now: is the Attorney General pursuing under the laws of this state, going after people who say they will not enforce the laws of this state?
Absolutely, 100%. He will do everything he can under the power and authority given to him by the Constitution to go after people that are not enforcing the laws.
I'm done. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to separate. Obviously, the Attorney General's opposed to one of the items. Oh, hold on. We have somebody who wants to speak from the public. Ms. Wascom? Ma'am, welcome to Bond Commission.
Thank you. It's not my usual venue.
It's not, or it is?
It's not.
Oh, well, it's a nice little way to get your blood pressure.
Good afternoon, good morning. I'm Kathy Wascom. I represent Louisiana Environmental Action Network. We have been working for years and years on environmental issues, and we have never appeared before the Bond Commission. But in looking at this issue, one of the agenda items is to create better flood control, better water quality for the city of New Orleans. There is nothing worse than contaminated water, toxic water, and it impacts the people, it impacts their health, it impacts everything in the city. And thank you, Lieutenant Governor Nungesser, for your comments, because we have worked through Katrina, we worked through flooded areas, contaminated areas. You have sick children, you have sick people, and we would like to see this project move forward. I understand this is only the first step, and it will have to go through the legislative process. But our involvement in this issue is to move forward to help control flooding, to help keep people healthy, and to have a thriving city of New Orleans. So we ask for your support. Thank you.
Senator White.
Just wanted to get a clarification. I've been educated. We've debated the governor's race. We had. Is Peter here? Would he like to say something? Talk about the animals too. So, but anyway, but the only question I have is on this item, and it's to you, Jay. If we don't pass it, you're going to hold hostage all our P2s? Because I'm going to do some more negotiating next year before I send the budget over here, okay?
Commissioner.
No, we're not going to hold anything hostage, but as you know, we have to clear all of our P1s before we get to our P2s, and that's the point that both the chairman have made repeatedly, I think. And as you know, we got to get through the P1s, or P2s cannot be considered. This is a P1 that must be considered. Otherwise, the only way it doesn't happen is if we determine and you approve that it's it's incapable or impossible to happen, and that would not be the case with this project because it is prepared, it is underway, and is moving forward. So I would say to you that you got to move them all forward, the ones.
Okay.
Hold on, buddy. Yes, sir.
So I guess, again, back to my question. I never knew we had to clear all P1s that we sent to the bond commission before we can consider anything else. That'll be our guiding principles from now on.
Hold on.
You can't move to P2s until P1s are done. There are no P2s on the agenda.
Right. They'll be on the agenda next month. I mean, assuming we get through all the P1s, which is what we're trying to do today.
Okay. But if any one fails, but if any one of the P1s is not approved, then we can't ever go to the 2s?
Yes, we have to exhaust all the P1s before we get to the P2s. But let me correct what I said earlier. This is not a P1 funding for the New Orleans project, as we've been talking about. It's a P5 project.
That's right. Okay.
But the point I made earlier, Senator I made, it's a work in progress. It needs to be approved so that a cash line of credit is in place so that these committees can consider it next year, which is part of the rules for considering capital outlay projects, unless and until changed by the legislature. I think those are the rules we have to play by. That's why it's important to move it forward, in addition to the fact that it's a work in progress, that contract could be delayed if we're not showing that the project is in line for a cash line of credit.
Okay, but so it would still be in effect then after it goes through Ways and Means, Rev and Fisk, goes through then it would come to finance, the last stop after appropriations, come to finance, and we would put the cash in.
That's right.
Or not put the cash in.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. President.
Okay, Leela, I have a question about the P1s, a particular P1 relative to the University of Louisiana Lafayette. On page 2, I think it's the fourth one from the bottom, the engineering classroom building planning and construction. I asked the commissioner, I'm not sure we're clear on this, but the $6 million that's recommended, there was $7.233 million in P1, and of that, $6 million has been recommended, which leaves about $1.2 million still in P1. Are we at the capacity this year for P1 fundings, or would we be able to come back? I'm told it's a CMAR project, a construction manager at risk project, and there's a possibility it could delay the project if they don't get the funding, I'm being told. Now, they may be able to use internal swaps to get the funding. My question is, would we have at another bond commission hearing the ability to add that 1.2, or are we at the cap and can't add any more?
So there's 133 million and some change left in capacity as far as the amount
For
of cash,
P1.
cash line, P1 and P2 that bond commission can approve. There's 6.18 million remaining in P1 once all of today's are done, and there's 111 plus and some change left in P2s. Jason Suter may be able to answer like the capacity.
So I'm
on
sure
the
they've been in
P1.
conversation with facility planning and control, and this is a. I'm just getting text that this could possibly hinder them with the CMAR project. I don't want to make sure that we have the ability to get them the money at a later date if so as not to delay it.
Jason Suter, excuse me, Division of Administration, Facility Planning and Control. This is one of the projects we're looking at to HB2. There's two ways we look at it in terms of capacity: overall capacity and new capacity for each year. HB2 in terms of overall capacity is fine. New capacity it is not. It's roughly about $18.5 million over. This is one of the projects we're looking at as possibly using some of that money to get it under the new capacity, but it will not affect the project as far as moving in CMAR. It won't delay the project.
Okay, so you've had conversation with the university relative to, okay. I just wanted to get it on the record that if we needed to, that we could have the opportunity to get it on a future agenda if they needed the money, if it was not delaying the CMAR project moving forward. But it sounds like you've had conversations and you're confident that they're going to be able to get it off the ground. Okay, thank you. That's it. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. We approve the.
We have a motion.
Oh, there's a motion.
We have one more question. No more question. So there is a motion by Ms. Friel to. I'm assuming you're moving to move items 55 through 60, and you're objecting to item 61. You could just nod. Okay, thank you. Do I have a second? No. The motion is, I know it's been, we've had some back and forth. Ms. Friel's moving to move items 55 through 60 and not moving 61. I'm asking if we have a second. Hearing none. Senator Cortez moves to move items 55 through 61. The Speaker seconds that motion. Do you have any objections? All right, we have an objection by Attorney General. Yeah, so the motion passed. Right.
I can oppose.
So you're objecting to the whole motion.
Well,
Do I have any objections?
I have
You
a-
object, and now we'll take the roll.
correct.
Yes, ma'am. So the motion is to move items 55 through 61. We have a motion and a second, and objection by Ms. Friel.
So let me just clarify.
Are you objecting to the entire motion?
That's all you can do.
Yes.
Can I clarify?
You can, sir.
Just to be clear, the objection is to not fund all of the P1s in the state, and to,
That's correct.
which would be, what's the total, 100 and,
The total P1s recommended today is $352,608,815.
and these projects many of these projects are underway,
Oh, yes.
and many of these would just be delayed if we didn't vote to fund all of these P1s.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that that's what the objection was, to not fund all of the project.
Motion and a second for purposes of discussion.
Wait.
Hold on. This is hard to see. I'll need to fix this. Ms. Friel.
To be clear, had the previous motion passed, the Attorney General would have 100% supported the approval of the other lines of credit, with the exception of 61. That is a concern for the AG's office. That motion was not seconded, and so for that reason, we're objecting. We're not going to vote in favor of this.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second, an objection. I think we passed the discussion. Do you want to discuss it some more? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
If we don't approve the P1s that the Attorney General is objecting to, then we can't get to the P2s next. So add another $120 million of additional P2 projects to that objection.
Yes, sir. Okay. Madam Secretary, please take the roll.
Mr. Block? Yes. Yes. Lieutenant Governor Nungesser? Yes. Ms. Landry? Ms. Friel? No. President Cortez? Yes. Yes. Senator White? Yes. Yes. Senator Alon? Yes. Yes. Senator Reese? Speaker Schexnayder? Yes. Yes. Representative Zarang? Yes. Yes. Representative Bishop? Yes. Yes. Representative Stefanski? Yes. Yes. Commissioner Darden? Yes. Yes. Treasurer Schroeder?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, we're moving on.